the closet is cluttered. We get so tired of so then we call someone to help us with that. And this person says, for the kind of stuff you have here, the closet is not properly utilized. So I will give you a design for a good arrangement of the closet. So he say, okay, you agree with him. And then what he does is he takes off the existing closet, whatever may be the shelving or the wardrobe, whatever it is there, he takes it off. He has to clear the room to install his new design. That's what we are doing here. That by removing the kamas, by desires, we are making way for the Atma to be experienced. That Atma cannot be experienced even with a little desire for any Anatma. Atma and Anatma being so totally opposed to each other. So the Atma has to find its way, means the Anatma has to be totally driven out of the mind. Because it's in the mind that we have all the Anatma vastus, Anatma objects, Anatma desires for Anatma objects, etc., etc. So we will have to clear the mind for the Atma to shine completely without, any other Anatma traces there. And also we see that if we are visiting some guests are visiting, we clean up the house. Wherever there is possibly any kind of clutter or any kind of dirt or something, we clean that. So we make way for the guests to come. And we do this more so when it's a festival. When it's a festival, the practice is to clean up the whole house so that we are inviting God on that day. So this God that we are inviting also belongs in the Anatma level. It's not the Atma level. So that God in the Atma level, if we have to experience him, that has to be experienced only in the mind. And therefore, we will have to clear that mind, and therefore we have to remove all the desires, because desires belong to the Anatma category. So that's the whole purpose of this Krishna describing this Prajahati yada kaman tu vihaya kaman yasarvan tumam nispraha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashanti madhigacchati. That's one he said. One prior to that, Apuryamana pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti advat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. So shanti is the key word in both these verses. In the 70 and the 71st verse, shanti is what we are seeking. And Krishna now in the 72nd verse, he describes the nature of that shanti. Esha brahmi sthiti partha naina prapya vimuhyati stitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvanam richati. Arjuna, he says, Esha brahmi sthiti, this is the state of being in Brahman. What is this? This is the shanti that he has discussed in the last two verses. If I'm totally at peace, that is what Krishna is calling as the brahmi sthiti. So, na enam prapya vimuhyati. Once this person achieves this shanti, this state of Brahmi, having achieved this, he is not confused. He is not deluded anymore. He does not go after the desires, because those desires have been totally eliminated. And then the Atma has come and sat in that mind. And with the presence of the Atma, the bliss that he is enjoying, the peace that he is enjoying, the shanti he is enjoying, is so helpful to him. He rejects all these comforts that comes out of the Anatma. That is what the yogi is not deluded means. He is not confused for going after the sense objects or the Anatma objects anytime. Antakalaha api asyam stitva. If a person has been trying and is not able to be successful, even if this Brahmi Sthiti is achieved just at the time of death, even just before the time of death, just at the time of death, even that should happen at that time. Attaining to this state of Brahman, even at the time of death, Brahma Nirvanam Rachati. He will attain the bliss of Brahman. The nirvana is a word which is unshaking, a non-agitation. These are all the various words that can describe nirvana. What it means is vata. Vata is air. So air has a tendency to move. That's the tendency of anila. That is what Sanskrit word for air is. Anila means Nila. Nila means to stay in one place. Anila means it doesn't stay in one place. So that's the characteristic of air. So nirvana, in that sense, it's used that there is no movement. In that person, there is no movement. Movement means in the agitations or any kind of mental disturbances, that will not be there to this person. That's what. So even if one were to get to this state at the time of death, even that is the permanent bliss that he has achieved. So let's see. So Krishna is describing this state of Brahmi. What is the state of being in Brahman? Let us see. So having renounced all actions and beings established in Brahman, that is the state of Brahma or Brahmi. So when those actions come, actions are possible only in duality. Actions cannot be possible when there is only an Advaita, non-dual. So actions being renounced means there is no tendencies or the vasanas driving actions in the mind. So the mind is free of vasanas, the mind is free of desires. That's all. That's what this means. Renouncing the actions means I cannot just sit and say, from tomorrow I will not engage in any action. That won't be possible. That's not practical. We'll see that in the next chapter, third chapter. So that is the state, free of all actions. That is Brahmi Sthiti. That is the state of being in Brahman. So state of attaining and living in Brahman is called the Brahmi Sthiti. You have attained this state of Brahma and you are sustained in it. Sthiti means it indicates a certain level of permanency or full level of permanency or eternality. That is what Sthiti means. Now we say the world is in Sthiti now. This world is existing today. So in the context of the existence of the world, this world doesn't exist forever, eternality. But in the time of its existence, we call that Sthiti. So this Atma, this Brahmi Sthiti, it is permanent, it is eternal. Now, for something to exist in the state of eternality or state of modification free, that's what has to happen. In that eternal state, there is no modifications. There is no modification means already it shows another way of expressing non-action. If there is an action, there is a change of state. And with the actions being totally renounced, there is no modification in the mind, steadfast, ego-free. So it doesn't have this mind is very firm in that state of modification-free, ego-free. Because there is only one entity that he is Advaita, non-dual. So where is the scope for even kind of any ego? Ego can only occur in duality. That and this, then I can say this is me. But if that second in his mind, the second entity does not exist at all, the anatma does not exist at all, that is the state of ego-free. And in that ego-free state, me and my association is totally absent, and he is free of intent and desire, because all the actions can happen only if there is an intention or a desire. Because he has renounced all the actions in that state, that means he has no desire he has stored in his mind. So, having attained this state, Krishna says, "Na muhyati." Antakalepi, even if he gets to that time at the time of death, he is not deluded. He has no confusion. He has no confusion means confusion with respect to what? Brahma, Ishvara, then samsara, Maya, and the relationships, and who am I? Where did I come from? All these are confusions in us. Who is Brahma? Who is Ishvara? What is Maya? What is samsara, transmigration? These are all the confusions we have. Me, mine, my relationship with the other objects. All these are sources of confusion. Krishna says that delusion does not happen in him, in the person who is existing in the state of Brahmi Sthiti. So, this is what is called Yathartha Jnana. Yathartha Jnana means he has the knowledge as it should be. Our knowledge is not Yathartha now. Our knowledge is confused knowledge, whereas the person who is in the Brahmi state, his is Yathartha knowledge, the knowledge as it should be, free of ignorance, and it is free of delusion. Such a knowledge is called Yathartha Jnana. Now, when did this ignorance come to us? We got this delusion, and this delusion is beginningless in time, or the ignorance is beginningless. How to understand this? Now, why did this beginningless? When there must be a beginning for everything, that means the beginning cannot be determined. Say, for example, on my desk, I say there is no pen. Now, from the question one can ask is from when did the absence of pen on my desk is happening? At what point the absence of pen in my desk started? There's no answer to that question. The question to when did my ignorance caught up with me? We don't have an answer. That is what it is called anadi, beginningless. So we are in this transmigration or samsara from anadi time, beginningless. The beginning cannot be known. But in this one particular case, the beginning can be ended. This ignorance can be ended. How? Say, for example, like pen. I said I don't know when the absence of pen on this desk. If I put a pen on this desk, the absence of pen is removed. Like that, this ignorance being beginningless, we don't know since when it started, but there is a end for it. I can end this ignorance by gaining Yathartha Jnana, by gaining knowledge. So that is the permanency of this Brahmi Sthiti that we talked about earlier. Now, why is this so? Because ignorance is the cause of delusion, and when ignorance of the who am I is destroyed, the delusion automatically retires. So I have this beginningless ignorance, and the ignorance is what is calling the confusion. Now, should I do it this way or should I do it that way, other way? That confusion comes to me when I don't know the process of how to do certain things. But the moment I know the process of how to do certain things becomes clear to me, then the ignorance of doing that action is removed. Like that, here also, when that ignorance of who am I is destroyed, automatically the confusion or the delusion arising out of the ignorance is totally removed. It exists no more. This is the existence in Brahman, having experienced the Atma, attaining which, what happens? He has cut us under the bondage of transmigration. Because in order to be born again, in order to continue to evolve in samsara, there should be a seed in the form of the thoughts in the mind. At the time of death, if whatever thought of the fulfilling this, what desire I have in my mind, that is what gives rise to the next life. So if my mind is totally freed of all anatma vastus, then there is no seed for another life to be taken, and therefore he attains to cutting us, and he cuts us under the bondage of transmigration. That is what when he said, when we do karma, there is karma is bonding. When we say it's binding, when we say is that karma has a fruit. That fruit I have not experienced it yet, but I already have implanted an impression in my mind that I have done a certain karma and its fruit has to be experienced. That's what gives rise to transmigration. When that is totally absent in the mind, there is no transmigration or samsara. So he has cut us under that bondage of transmigration. So we talked about this Brahmi state at the time of death, he will attain to the Brahma Nirvana. Nirvana is another word for that, is the liberation of bliss. So the Nirvana, as I said, motionless, if you want to take, non-agitating in any way, because you are in peace, Shanti. This Brahmi Sthiti is nothing but state of being in Shanti. And in the state of Shanti, there is no movement, and that is Nirvana. And when there is no movement in the mind with respect to the anatma issues, there is no more birth, and that is liberation. That you cut us under the transmigration. So he attains to liberation. Now, moksha is the perfect quietude in the mind. So even if a person who attains to this at the last minute of his life, acquiring the state of Brahma Nirvana, then of course somebody who is practicing all these things all through life, even like as Ramana Maharshi take for example, he experienced it at the age of 14, 15, 16, somewhere like that. And he lived up to 75 years, I believe. So all these years, he has been practicing living in this quietude. He has been in quietude. And so for this person, he has been practicing celibacy. Celibacy means removing desires, renouncing desires. He has no desire at all, because that's how he has gotten to that state. And once you have got that state, Krishna has already said there is no more confusion, and therefore this person is established in Brahman all through his life. It does not matter when you get this Brahmi Sthiti. Then there is one, I think, I forgot the name of that Rishi. Even as he is born, he cried out, I am liberated, I am liberated. There was a little prarabdha remaining for him to take a birth. And he came out of the birth canal, he started singing, I am liberated, like that. So this is...
That was Shuka, I believe. That was Shuka Maharshi.
Who?
Shuka Maharshi.
Shuka Maharshi. Probably Shubha. There is another one I have in my mind, where I have heard about it, but I don't remember now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we'll take Shuka Maharshi. So this getting to the state of Brahma Nirvana, Brahmi Sthiti, it can happen anytime in your life, and you will experience that Shanti all through that life, because the prarabdha has to be experienced. Whatever the example given is, like an arrow that is delivered, it has to reach the destination. Like that, the prarabdha that we have brought in this life, that many years we have to live. And once we exhaust that prarabdha, this body will drop, and then no more birth for him, because there is, at the time of death, he had no desires in his mind. Okay. So finally, Krishna tells Arjuna, having attained this state, he is not deluded. He has no more confusion in his mind, and he lives peacefully all through the rest of his life. So this is the conclusion of the second chapter. Let's just sing that concluding one. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayaha. So what we will do is this. Any questions on this, on this 12th, the last verse that we discussed today? If you have any questions, we can answer, try that. And then we will get to singing the 2 chapters. And when I do that, let me get to something here. Okay, is there any questions? All right, let us then go to chanting. Okay, on your screen you will see the chapters and the verses that you are that is your realm of you are asked to sing those verses. So you can self-mute and unmute. We'll try to do this how this works. So when you begin chanting, you unmute yourself and you finish your verses and mute, and then the next person unmutes and continues like that. This way it probably can go smoothly. And is Pratima here? She said she may not be here. Okay, instead of Pratima, Uma and I will take 11 to 20. So let's continue. Shanti?
Yes. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Gurukshetre Samavethayuyuttavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjayah. Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Yudam Duryodhanastata Acharyamupasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamam Yudam Drupada Putrena Tavasishyena Dhimata Atra Sura Maheshwasha Bhimarjuna Samayutihi Yuyudhano Viradascha Drupadascha Maharatah Drishtaketussikhitanah Asirajasya Viryavan Purajit Kuntibodascha Saivayascha Narapungavaha Yuddhamanascha Vikrantah Uttamajascha Viryavan Saubhadro Drupadeyascha Sarvayeva Maharatah Asmakam tu Vishistaye Tannibodha Dvijotama Nayaka Mama Sainyascha Samnyartam Tanbramavate Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitinjayah Ashwattama Vikarnascha Saubhadastistadaivacha Anye cha Bhavan Suraha Madarte Dvyakta Jivitaha Nana Sastra Praharanaha Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha Aparyaptam Tadasmakam Balam Bhishma Birakshitam Paryaptam Tvidame Tesham Balam Bhima Birakshitam.
आयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थिताः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षम् कुरु वृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान् ततः शङ्खाश्च भैर्यश्च पणवानकगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत् ततः श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवाश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदध्मतुः पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मावृकोदरः अनन्तविजयं राजा कुन्तीपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सह देवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः धृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्चापराजितः द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुः शङ्खान् दद्मुः पृथक् पृथक् सघोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यदारयत् नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलो व्यनुनादयन् अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः.
Everyone also chant independently in your own muted state.
ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्ष्येऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्स्यमानानवेक्ष्येऽहं यये तत्र समागताः धात्रराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षवः संजय उवाच एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतान् समवेतान् कुरूनिति तत्तापश्य स्थितान् पार्थः पितृनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा त्वशुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धूनवस्थितान् कृपया परयाविष्टो विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत् अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सं समुपस्थितम् सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् त्यक्त्यैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च किन्नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगाः सुखानि च तैमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणान् त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्याः पितरः पुत्राः तथैव च पितामहाः मातुलाश्वशुराः पौत्राः शालाः सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतोः किन्नु मही कृते निहत्य धात्रराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः सा जनार्दन पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वैतानाततायिनः तस्मान्नार्हान् वयं हन्तुं धात्रराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव यद्यप्येतेन पश्यन्ति लोभोपहतचेतसः कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम् कथं न ज्ञेयमस्माभिः पापादस्मान्निवर्तितुम् कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं प्रपश्यद्भिर्जनार्दन कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति कुलधर्माः सनातनाः धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्नम् अधर्मोऽभिभत्युत
अधर्माविभवात् कृष्ण पश्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रीषु दुष्टाषु वार्ष्णेय जायते शङ्कः शङ्करो नरकायैव कुलज्ञानां कुलस्य च पतन्ति पितरो ह्येषाम् पिण्डोदक्रियाः दोषेतिः कुलज्ञानां वर्णसङ्करकारकैः उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणां मनुष्याणां जनार्दन नरके नियतं वापो इत्यमुशुश्रुम अहो बत महत्पापं कर्तुं व्यवसितायं यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्राः यदि मामप्रतीकारम् अशस्त्रपः धातराष्ट्रणे हन्युं तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत् संजय उवाच एवमुक्तार्जुनः सङ्ख्ये ततोपस्थाविश्य विसृज्य शशरं चापं लोकसंविद् ओम तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे अर्जुनविषादयोगो प्रथमोऽध्यायः श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः सांख्ययोगः। संजय उवाच यामिष्टम् पूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः श्रीभगवानुवाच उतस्त्वाकश्मलमिदम् विषमेकमुपस्थितम् आर्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन क्लैब्यमास्मकमः पार्थ नैतद्विपद्यते शुभ्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यम् त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुन उवाच कथं भीष्ममहं सङ्ख्ये द्रोणं च मधुसूदन विशुभिः प्रतियोत्स्यामि पूजार्हा वरिसूदन गुरून् हत्वानि महाभावान् श्रेयो भोक्तुं वैक्षमपि लोके हत्वार्थकामांस्तु गुरून् हतिव पुञ्जीभोगान् रुदिप्रदिग्धान् चैतद्विद्मः कतरन्नो गरीयः यद्वा जयेयति वा नो जयेयुः याने हत्वा न जिजीविषाम ते स्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां दत्तं मूढचेताः यस्यान्निश्चितं तन्मे शिष्यस्तं श्रुतिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् पश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्छोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् वाप्य भूमावसपत्नं वृद्धम् राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम् जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशम् गुडाके परन्तपः अयोत्स्यगिति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः तत्सन्निबभात सेनोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः
श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासूनगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं मे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत यं हि न व्यथयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोऽमृतत्वाय कल्पते नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः प्रणयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्त इमे देहा नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत येनं वेत्ति हन्तारं यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायं हन्ति न हन्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न्यायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे
वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम् वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि नैनं चिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः अच्छेद्योऽयमदायोह्यम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यसर्वगतस्ताणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तनिधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् देहि नित्यम् अवध्योऽयं देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि
स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य नाविकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्यात् श्रेयो न तु क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते यदृच्छया कोपपन्नं स्वधर्मत स्वर्गद्वारम् अपवृतं सुखिनः क्षत्रिया पार्थ लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम् अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संग्रामं न करिष्यसि तत स्वधर्मकीर्तिं च हित्वा पापमवाप्स्यसि अकीर्तिं च भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययां सम्भाविष्टस्य च कीर्तिः मरणादतिरिच्यते भयादरणात् परं मन्स्यन्ते त्वां महारथाः येषां तत्त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यास्यसि लाघवम् अवाञ्च वादां च बहून् वतिष्यन्ति तवाहिताः निन्दन्तस्तव सामर्थ्यं ततो दुःखतरं नु किम् हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम् तस्मात् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चयः सुखदुःखे समे कृत्वा लाभालाभौ जयाजय ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्य तन्नैवं पापमवाप्स्यसि एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये बुद्धिर्योगेति मां शृणु बुद्ध्याय युक्तो यया पार्थ कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यसि नेहाभिहिसनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमभ्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रयते महतो भयात्
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनां यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त्यविपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदां क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणाः फलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम् कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मुनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयम् यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च श्रुतिविप्रतिपन्ना ते यदा स्थास्यति निश्चला समाधावचला बुद्धिः तदा योगमवाप्स्यसि अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्।
श्री भगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहः तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवैत्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभवायतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिवाम्बसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः अपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमभिगच्छति येषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्यास्याम् अन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमुच्यते ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे सांख्ययोगो नाम द्वितीयोऽध्यायः। श्रीकृष्णपरब्रह्मणे नमः।
The continuities moved very smoothly. So anybody have any comments, please do. Okay, very good. So let's for the remaining time.
Oh,
Madhav,
sorry.
you have something to say?
No, initially we didn't hear you a little bit. I have to unmute you. So, in the beginning, I don't know.
In
Yeah.
the beginning of
No, just now. Just now I unmuted you. So that's fine.
hello, yeah, I thought I unmuted myself. Maybe I didn't do it right.
Sure.
Okay, so let's, in the remaining time, let us look back and understand, just summarizing where we are, what we have accomplished so far, and what we will see in the coming chapters. That's but we have under 20 minutes. I don't want to start a new chapter today. Also, it's good to go back and so Arjuna, we have seen his issues in the first chapter, and then in the second chapter, Krishna says, give up this, impotency, take your Gandhiva and fight. Now again, he continued, and then he says, Dharma sammuda chetaha. I am confused about my dharma. On one hand, he is saying my dharma is Kshatriya dharma. I have to fight, but here I am. I'm fighting my relatives, friends, all these people, a teacher. So I'm confused. Now you take me as your student. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am surrendering to you, and you take me as your student. In Vedanta, that is what is, you see, that indicates a maturity of someone to seek the knowledge. That prapannam, that surrendering is very important. And so then Krishna begins to explain is why Arjuna should fight. Now, this he starts with the highest knowledge, what we call the Atma Vidya. And you are, Arjuna, you are confused because you don't know yourself. Nanu shochanti panditaha. A pandita, a person who knows who he is a pandita. And so a person who knows who he is, he will not have any confusion. And he will have no grievances or anything. So you don't know who you are. Know yourself who you are. You are the Atma, he says. You are not the body that you are thinking of. You are not the mind you are thinking of. Now, even if you should think you are the body, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavara dehantara prapti dhirastatra muhyati. Even if you should in the interim think that you are this body, the body is bound to go away someday. It is born, it survives, sustains, and it is gets to old age, and finally the body has to be discarded. So dhirastatra muhyati, one who knows this, even if you come to the body level understanding, once you know this has to happen, you should have no concern, you should have no worry about it, he says. So, and if it still pains you, he says, tam titikshasva bharata, you forbear it. You know, that's one of the ingredients of a disciplined practice. So he says, you bear with any pain you may have here now. Tam titikshasva bharata. Titiksha is a very important characteristic in here. And then he says, nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. He says, there are only two entities in this world, the sat and the asat. The sat never fails to non-exist, and the asat its existence is never given. So sat and asat, you are as an atma is the sat, it always prevails, and you as a body, it has a temporarily living, it's asat, unreal, anatma. So if you understand this, the same atma that is the reality in you, that survives time, beginningless time to beginningless, endless time, eternally, then the same atma is in Bhishma, Drona, and all the other relatives you are talking of. So they exist. You think you are the cause they are going to die. They are not going to die because of you. And so he gives all the characteristics of this Atma, the reality, from verse 17 to 29. He describes all those characteristics of the Atma. And this Atma gets a body time to time, based on the prarabdha of the jiva. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. The jiva continues. Just the falling of the body is not the end of it. The jiva continues even after that. So then he comes to, after describing all these, he says, you know, all right, now you look at your own dharma. So adharmam pachaveksha navikampitum you are a kshatriya, you have trained yourself to fight this war. There is no reason for grieving because something you have to do. And he says, for a kshatriya like you, there is nothing more superior than a just war. A war here, the Krishna is characterizing the war here. This is not some ordinary war. This is a just war. Just war means this is the war that you have to fight to establish the dharma. Dharma samstapana is the goal here, and the dharma is now being spoiled or rooted out by these Duryodhana and other people. So you have to fight to re-establish this dharma. Dharmyadi yuddha shreya anyat kshatriyasya vidyate. So this is, you fight this as if it's a duty to uphold the dharma. So then he comes down to one more level and says, all right, if you still don't believe me, if you don't still are not, if your confusion is not removed, think what are the consequences, outcome of your running away from the battlefield. They all think you got frightened. You got frightened, and then they are going to talk loose about you, not just today, for the history forever to come. That kalanka, that infamy that lasts for you forever. So from that perspective also, you have to fight. Now, up to this point, basically, Krishna has talked about the spiritual nature of every one of us. And then being born to work out our karma, we have to execute our activities, the prescribed activities for our whatever life we have taken. Now he says, you know, there is a way out for you. I know and I understand that Atma you are not ready to experience yet. you are not feeling that Atma in you. You are, it's only a talk for you now, what you have heard so far. But in order to experience that, you have to do certain things. What is it? He says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. He brings in the concept of the karma yoga here. What is karma yoga? Is you treat everything as equanimous. Sukha, dukkha, labha, labha, shita, ushna. These are all dualities. Now, if you react to these dualities, you are being like going like a yo-yo from one emotion to the other, and you will never be peaceful. So once you start beginning to take them as equanimous, that they are treating them as both the dualities as the same, then he says, Naivam papam avapsyasi. You don't acquire the papa here means you can take punya also, the consequence of that karma. The consequence of that karma, once you do it with the attitude of equanimity, that karma will not spawn another life for you. That's what that naivam papam avapsyasi means. So he's saying, I have told, I'm telling you now, what I have taught you so far is Sankhya Yoga. Yeshate Bihita Sankhya. Now I have taught you about the Sankhya Yoga, that is the Atma Jnana that I have told. Now you listen to me how to achieve that. And he calls that the Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga. So Buddhi Yoga to Imam Shunu. Now you listen to a discriminated action yoga. If you want to translate it to English, Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga is discriminated action yoga, yoga of discriminated action. If you do follow this, karma bandham prahasyasi, you will cut the consequences of karma. And he says here, there is no, if you do any karma, desire motivated karma, it has to be completed. You start a karma, and then if you are unable to complete the karma, there are negative consequences because of that. Now Krishna is now telling him, if you start this work and if you give up your body, you are unable to complete this karma yoga in this life, you are not going to accrue any sin. You are not going to accrue any consequences of that. In fact, later on in the 6th chapter, it becomes clear, you add, it is supplemental. What you have acquired in this life, you will continue from this point on in your next life. So, therefore, in order to achieve this, you cultivate vyavasayatmika buddhi, a discriminated intellect you will have to practice. Once you start this discriminated intellect, actions be decided by a discriminated intellect, then you will begin to make progress in the path of achieving your Atma. And in that, he gives the very illustrative verse here, very directed verse at Arjuna. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palahetu bhuhu mate sanghosto karmani. So what are the ingredients of this karma yoga? What are the steps of this karma yoga? He says, you have to do the work that is assigned to you. Once you do that, then don't expect you to decide the fruits of that action. You don't have that ability to describe the fruits of action. The fruits of action comes by sometime later. It doesn't come in your time frame. It comes at a time when it is ready, when you are ready for it. Ma karma pala heturbuhu. You don't be the source of the karma pala, and because I'm telling you not to seek the karma pala, don't you get detached from work. Mate sangostu akarmani. Don't you become inactive. You have to do your karma. So he says, yogastha karmani. Doing karma like this in yoga. Yoga means discriminated action. What work you have to do? what work you should not do, and then what work you have to do, in what spirit, in what attitude you have to do, that makes the Karma Yoga. And that has been described from 48 to 53rd verse. Then at this point, Arjuna gets his question is something, he did not continue to ask a question on the Karma Yoga itself. He asks here a question about this Atma Sthita Prajna. How does that person who has attained Atma, who has realized Atma, how should I identify him? That's what he asks. And then for that, Arjuna, Krishna gives in about 17 verses, he gives the characteristics or the attributes of the Sthita Prajna, a person of steady wisdom. And basically, sum and substance of that is, he has given up all desires. If he has given up all desires, he becomes a person who has given up all his desires. He will attain to that Sthita Prajna. And then in between, he also says, if you violate this, if you indulge in desires, he gives what are the consequences in those two verses, Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha, and it goes Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So the source of desires is there in attaching yourself to an object, a sense object, and with that you will go down. But if you manage your sense organs such that it is not thrown off path, like he gives the example of a boat on a ocean, how the boat can be managed to go to the destination. Like that, you have to manage your sense organs, going after sense objects, so that your destination is what? Brahmi Sthiti, that he comes later on. So once you achieve this, then, like if you practice this, you come to a point where the desires don't bother you. Like Apuryamana Machala Pratishtam Samudramapaha Pravishanti Yadvat Tadvat Kamayam Pravishanti Sarve Sashanti Mapnoti Na Kama Kami. So only a person who manages to keep at bay desires, he gets to, and that example given, the rivers joining into the ocean is stable, is not disturbed. Like that, you should manage your life. And once you do practice this, ultimately you will enjoy this Brahmi Sthiti. So when Krishna has given this description of the Sthita Prajna, now in the 3rd chapter beginning, Arjuna asked the question he should have asked when he was asking about Sthita Prajna. Really, that was the right time to ask what he is asking now. He says, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhi janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Now he has somehow understood here, Krishna has elevated knowledge superior to action. Now he somehow he has lost the track of Karma Yoga. Anyway, then he says in the 2nd verse of the 3rd chapter, Vyamishrene vakyena buddhi moyasi me tadekam vadanischitya yena shreyoham apnyam. He says, it looks to me like you are doing double talk. Vyamishrene, you are giving me mixed signals in terms of what he is not saying you are doing. It seems to me that you are giving mixed signals, and by this mixed signal, it's as if my intellect is confused. Therefore, he says, Vada Nischitya, you tell me, you give me one instruction. Nischitya means a determined, a very decisive action. You give me that decisive action by which Shreyoham Apnyam, I am going to get to this Brahmi Sthiti. That's what he is asking in the 2nd verse of the 3rd chapter. And then Krishna elaborates on this Karma Yoga. The Karma Yoga that he has talked in the 2nd chapter is only kind of the essence of Karma Yoga, like the high level view of Karma Yoga. Now in the third chapter, he discusses the nuts and bolts of Karma Yoga. That's what we are going to study in the start studying in the next class. Anybody have any questions on this entire first and second chapter? You are welcome. Any comments? Okay, it's quiet.
Ramakrishna ji, this is Rukmini.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
So thank you so much for this summary. But I was thinking about this question. You talked about a Brahmi. Somebody who is a Sthita Prajna, who is calm in the face of this jagat, which is a mithya jagat, right? So this kind of a person, how would that person be encouraged to fight a battle? Because even this battle that he is, facing this in Kurukshetra, that itself is a part of the mithya jagat, correct?
Yes. Now that person, see what Arjuna is required to fight here is because he is in the mithya jagat. In the mithya jagat, there is a mithya war.
Correct.
And because I think I am the body, you think you are the body, you and I belong to a society. And in the interest of the society, we all have to do that vyavahara, the transaction, in a certain way. That is called dharma.
Okay.
So a person who has come to Brahmi Sthiti, that person, if he has to fight a war, he will fight a war. Krishna fought many wars with Jarasandha and, that other person, Vishishupala, and, so he fought the war, did he not?
Yes, yes.
And how did he fight?
With the Brahmi
Yes,
sthiti.
Brahmi Sthiti. So the a person who is in that state, for him, this action, that action does not even mean any value. You take, for example, Ramana Maharshi, somebody sued him in the court. He went to court.
Really? I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Oh.
So, for him, it was an appearance of a transaction, and it discharged that responsibility or that duty at that moment. So, but how did he do? He do it in a nirlipta, detached way.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you, Ramakrishna. You have to think about this some more.
Think about it.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is no more questions, we can close the class today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramakrishna ji. Thank you, Madhavan ji.
Namaste to all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Umaji.
Citation went very well.
Thank you so much.
The recitation went very well, the two chapters. Really, I'm very impressed. And those who have done today may get a break next time.
Dhanyavad.
What if they don't want to?
Class, Madhavan.
We will
I know,
see.
but the tongue is not coming out.
There will be 3 chapters to chant next time. So we need more bodies for number 1. And then we also want to bring other people who didn't get a chance today. So we will get to everybody. Somehow we have to manage it that way.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you next class.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.